Violette woke up at 5:30 a.m. to her alarm and a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in days. Today she was going to figure out who left the note. Not obsessively, not desperately, but methodically, the way you'd approach any problem that needed solving. She had a mystery, she had suspects, she had a building full of neighbors, one of whom had cared enough to slip 8 words under her door. Time to find out which one. She went through her morning routine, shower, hair, makeup, the armor of professionalism, but today felt different. Lighter, somehow, like having a mission beyond just surviving her father's criticism, and Marcus's undermining gave her something to focus on that was actually hers. At 6 a.m. she made coffee and checked her phone. 61 emails since midnight. One text from Sloan. "Good morning, beautiful. Remember, you're a badass and everyone who doesn't see that is an idiot. Love you." Violette smiled and typed back, "Love you too. Coffee tomorrow? I need to talk to you about something." Ooh, mysterious. I'm intrigued. Thursday lunch? I'm off at noon. Perfect. I'll come to you. Your neighborhood has that good Thai place. Deal. Now go be brilliant at work. At 6:15 a.m., Violette made a decision. Before she left for work, she was going to knock on 4D's door. The couple who lived there, Maya and Zoe, were the kind of neighbors Violette had always meant to know better, but never quite found the time. They'd moved in about 2 years ago, around the same time Violette had. They were artists of some kind. She'd seen them carrying canvases and photography equipment, dressed in paint-splattered overalls and vintage band T-shirts that suggested they existed in a completely different universe than Westbrook International's boardrooms. They were also the friendliest people on the floor, always said hello, always smiled. Had invited Violette over for drinks more than once. Invitations she'd accepted exactly 3 times in 2 years because she was always working, always tired, always not quite ready to be social. But they'd been kind to her. And if anyone on this floor had heard her crying and felt moved to leave a note, it might be them. At 6:17 a.m., Violette walked down the hallway and knocked on 4D's door. She waited, suddenly nervous. It was early. They might be asleep. They might think she was insane, knocking on their door before sunrise. But then she heard movement inside. Footsteps. The door opened. Maya stood there in pajama pants and a tank top, dark hair and a messy bun, eyes squinting against the hallway light.
Violette, hi. Is everything okay?
I'm so sorry. I know it's early. Can I talk to you for a minute? Both of you?
Maya's expression shifted from sleepy confusion to concern.
Of course, come in. Let me wake up Zoe.
Violette stepped into 4D and was immediately struck by how different it was from her own apartment. Where 4B was all sleek minimalism and expensive furniture that looked good but didn't feel lived in, 4D was chaos and color and life. Canvases leaning against walls, bold abstract paintings in reds and golds and deep blues. Photography prints tacked up everywhere. Black and white images of New York architecture, fire escapes and water towers and the geometric beauty of the city. Plants on every surface, thriving in ways Violette's sad succulent never had. Books stacked in precarious towers. A record player in the corner with vinyl scattered around it like fallen leaves. It looked like people actually lived here. It looked like home.
Sit. I'll make coffee. Zoe will be out in a second.
She gestured to a couch that was covered in blankets and throw pillows. Violette sat, feeling out of place in her charcoal suit and heels while surrounded by this beautiful, comfortable mess. A door opened down the hall. Zoe emerged, looking more awake than Maya despite also being in pajamas, flannel pants, and an oversized NYU sweatshirt.
Violette, hi. It's been forever. How are you?
Okay. I'm sorry to barge in like this.
Are you kidding? We love visitors, especially before 7 a.m. It's very dramatic. Very. I need to tell you something important. What's going on?
Zoe flopped onto the couch next to Violette. Maya returned with 3 mugs of coffee, real mugs, mismatched and chipped. Nothing like the pristine white cups in Violette's kitchen.
Okay, talk to us. What happened?
Violette wrapped her hands around the mug, grateful for the warmth, and realized she had no idea how to start this conversation.
Someone left a note under my door. Last Friday morning. Anonymous. Just a few words, something kind.
Maya and Zoe exchanged a glance.
What did it say?
It said, "You're stronger than you think," from a neighbor.
Silence. Then Maya smiled.
That's actually really sweet.
It is. It was. It helped, actually. I've been having a rough few weeks. And finding that note, it made me feel less alone.
So you want to know who left it?
I do. And I was wondering if you two might have heard anything? Or seen anyone in the hallway that morning?
Another glance between them. Violette's heart sank.
You didn't leave it, did you?
No, but I wish we had. Violette, we've noticed. The crying. Fighting with someone. Boyfriend.
Ex-boyfriend.
We almost knocked on your door a few times to check on you. But we didn't know if you want that, if we'd be overstepping.
Violette felt her throat tighten.
You heard me.
We don't try to listen. But sometimes you can't help it.
I'm so embarrassed.
Don't be. Violette, everyone has hard times. Everyone cries. Everyone has relationships that fall apart. You're not weak for struggling. You're human.
My ex-boyfriend would disagree.
Then your ex-boyfriend is an idiot. And you're better off without him.
Violette laughed despite herself, a wet, shaky sound.
That's what my best friend says.
Your best friend is correct.
They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, drinking coffee, and Violette realized this was the first time in weeks she'd felt actually relaxed around other people.
Can I ask you something? And you can totally tell me to mind my own business.
Okay.
Why do you want to know who left the note? I mean, does it matter? Someone wanted to be kind. Someone wanted to help. Does knowing who they are change that?
I want to thank them. And I don't know. I want to know there's someone in this building who sees me. Actually, sees me. Not Violette Westbrook, COO. Not Augustus Westbrook's daughter. Just me.
We see you.
What?
We see you, Maya and I. We've seen you for 2 years. Coming home late, leaving early, always on your phone, always looking exhausted, always alone except for that asshole boyfriend who used to slam your door when he left.
We talked about inviting you over more, but you were always so busy. We didn't want to intrude.
You wouldn't have been intruding. I'm not good at accepting help. Or friendship. Or anything that isn't work.
That sounds lonely.
It is.
More silence. Then Zoe set down her mug and looked at Violette with an intensity that was almost uncomfortable.
We didn't leave the note, but I can tell you who might have. The new tenant in 4A. The guy with the truck. He moved in the same week your ex-boyfriend, was here. We saw him in the hallway a few times. He has this energy, aware energy, like he notices things.
Mrs. Habersham mentioned him too.
Mrs. H sees everything. But yeah, if I were betting, I'd bet on 4A. He's new enough that he'd still care about neighbors. Old enough to be thoughtful about it. And he's here at weird hours, so he might have heard you and your ex fighting.
Violette felt something flutter in her chest. Hope, maybe, or anxiety, or both.
Have you met him?
Briefly, in the elevator. Seems nice. Quiet. Polite. Hot. If you're into the whole rugged contractor thing.
Maya laughed.
Zoe.
What? I'm just making an observation. I'm very happily taken, but I still have eyes.
Maya rolled her eyes fondly, then turned back to Violette.
He does seem nice, though. If it was him, you could do worse for a mysterious note leaver.
I don't even know his name.
So introduce yourself. You live next door. It's not weird to knock and say hi.
It feels weird.
Everything feels weird when you're used to being alone. Trust me, I was a hermit before Maya dragged me into the land of the social. It's terrifying at first, but then it's nice. Having people, having connections.
Violette looked at these two women, these artists who'd built a life together in this apartment full of color and chaos and love, and felt a pang of something that might have been envy. They had each other. They had friends. They had a home, not just an apartment. What did Violette have?
Can I ask you guys something else?
Anything.
How do you know when you're living your life versus just surviving it?
The question hung in the air. Zoe and Maya looked at each other, having one of those silent conversations that couples who'd been together for years could have with just a glance.
I think you're living when you have moments that make you forget to be afraid. When you're so present in what you're doing that you forget about yesterday's failures or tomorrow's demands. When you feel connected to yourself, to other people, to something bigger than just making it through the day.
And when you're surviving,
When everything feels like performance. When you're just playing a role. When you get to the end of the day and realize you didn't actually feel anything except stress and exhaustion.
Violette nodded slowly.
I've been surviving for a very long time.
Then maybe it's time to start living, starting with small things, like knocking on your neighbor's door, like accepting invitations for drinks, like letting people see you when you're struggling instead of pretending you're fine.
I'm not good at that.
Nobody is at first, but you get better with practice.
Violette looked at her watch, 6:47 a.m. She needed to leave for work in 3 minutes if she wanted to stay on schedule, but she didn't want to leave. She wanted to stay in this apartment full of color and life and women who saw her as a person instead of a position.
I should go. Work.
Zoe stood up, walked over, and did something unexpected. She hugged her, a real hug. Warm and genuine, and the kind of physical contact Violette hadn't realized she'd been starving for.
Come over for drinks soon. Like, actually soon. This week. Tomorrow night, maybe?
I can't tomorrow, but Friday?
Friday works. 7-ish? We'll order food. You can tell us more about this mystery note situation.
Okay, yes, I'd like that.
Maya hugged her too.
And Violette, whoever left that note was right. You're stronger than you think. But it's okay to not always be strong. It's okay to need help sometimes.
Violette felt tears threatening and blinked them back.
Thank you, both of you, for the coffee and the conversation and for not thinking I'm insane for showing up at your door before sunrise.
Anytime, we mean that. Anytime.
The rest of Wednesday passed in a blur of meetings and emails and the usual corporate warfare. Marcus sent another memo, this one about the Singapore timeline, copying her father again, undermining her recommendations with his concerns about her conservative approach. Richard called to discuss the memo, which really meant he wanted to warn her that the board was starting to side with Marcus. Her father sent a single-line email. "We need to talk about your resistance to change." Harrison texted, "Did you send those files yet? I need them today." And through it all, Violette kept thinking about Maya and Zoe's apartment, about the way they'd made her feel seen, about the way they'd hugged her without hesitation, about the way they'd built a life instead of just surviving one. At 3:47 p.m., she made a decision. She pulled up her calendar and blocked out all of Thursday. No meetings, no calls, nothing. Just a day off. A mental health day, as Sloan would call it. A day to figure out who she was when she wasn't performing the role of Violette Westbrook, COO. She sent an email to Emma. "I'm taking tomorrow off. Cancel everything. If there's an emergency, call me. Otherwise, I'll see you Friday." Emma responded immediately. "Finally, you haven't taken a day off in 6 months. Enjoy it. Don't check email. I'll handle everything. You're the best. I know. That's why you pay me the big bucks." At 6:15 p.m., Violette left the office. By 7:00 p.m., she was home, shoes off, suit jacket abandoned, standing in her kitchen with a glass of wine and a plan. Tomorrow, she'd do something she hadn't done in 2 years. She'd go to the sub-penthouse. She'd knock on Detective Raymond Carver's door, the man who'd lived in the Ashford longer than anyone except Mrs. Habersham, the man who'd been a legendary NYPD detective, the man who'd caught the Manhattan Nightmare serial killer. If anyone could help her figure out who left the note, it would be him, and if he couldn't, well, at least she'd tried. At 9:33 p.m., Violette heard a door open and close next door. 4A, the electrician. The man Zoe thought was hot in a rugged contractor way, the man who might have left the note. Violette stood in her living room, wineglass in hand, and stared at the wall. She could go over there right now, knock on his door, introduce herself, ask him directly. But something stopped her. Fear, maybe, of the answer, of what it would mean if he'd left it, of what it would mean if he hadn't. Tomorrow, she decided, after talking to Detective Carver, after lunch with Sloane, after she'd gathered more information and felt more prepared. Tomorrow, everything would change. She could feel it. At 10:47 p.m., Violette was in bed, reading or trying to read a novel Sloane had recommended about a woman who left her entire life behind and moved to Italy to run a vineyard. Escapist fiction, Sloane had called it. Sometimes you need to read about someone else's fresh start to imagine your own. Violette was on page 47 and hadn't absorbed a single word. Her mind kept drifting to tomorrow, to Detective Carver, to the mysterious note, to the man in 4A who might or might not be the one who'd left it. Her phone buzzed, text from Maya. "Hey, just wanted to say it was really nice seeing you this morning. You're welcome over here anytime, like literally anytime." 2 a.m. We're probably awake. We're artists. We don't sleep. Violette smiled and typed back, "Thank you. Really, this morning meant a lot to me." Good. Now stop working. I know you're probably working, and get some sleep. Tomorrow's a new day. Actually taking tomorrow off, first day off in 6 months? What? This is huge. Proud of you. What are you going to do? What are you going to... I'm going to talk to the detective in the sub-penthouse, see if he can help me figure out who left the note. Detective? I didn't know there was a detective in the building. Raymond Carver, sub-penthouse, retired NYPD, caught the Manhattan Nightmare Killer in the 90s. Long pause. Then, holy shit. That Raymond Carver lives here? That's kind of badass. Also slightly terrifying. Why terrifying? I don't know, serial killer catchers always seem like they'd be intense, but in a good way? Let me know how it goes. I want details. Will do. Good night, Maya. Night, Violette. Sweet dreams. Violette set down her phone and her book and turned off the light. Lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow she'd meet the legendary detective Raymond Carver. Tomorrow she'd have lunch with Sloane and tell her everything. Tomorrow she'd take the first steps toward living instead of just surviving. And Friday? Friday she'd figure out once and for all who'd left that note. Even if it meant locking herself out of her apartment and knocking on every door on the 4th floor until someone told her the truth. Whatever it took. She was done being passive. Done letting life happen to her while she just survived it. Time to actually live. Starting tomorrow.
Thanks for listening, and please subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
And for early access and bonus episodes, become a Patreon supporter today.